You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast. Hello, welcome to Season 5, Episode 6 of Pointing Pointers, and by popular demand, Stephanie Jones is back. Hi, Steph.
Hiya. How are you?
Yeah, good. Well, basically, loads of people told me that it made a lot more sense when there was a sensible adult in the room to sort out the two bickering children. So, welcome back. Sam, how are you?
Very well, thanks. I feel like a spare part now, to be honest, but here we are.
Oh, don't be like that.
You're the main event, Sam.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Sorry.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
we are nothing without you.
Correct.
So, thank you to our sponsors, as always, the PPORA, and a couple more to be announced shortly. I was about to say a few, but, we'll leave that for another time, Steph. And to Thoroughbid, of course, for sponsoring our section on the Nick Look Daily. Steph, we were talking about the fact that these one meeting weekends can be quite good, but when they get cancelled after the first race, not ideal. Talk us through your trip to Great Trethewey, if you would.
Yeah, not so good weekend. Awful treacherous weather at the start, but in all fairness, by the time we got to Great Trethewey, in one piece, the weather was doable. It was wet and it was a bit miserable, but it was grand. It was normal pointing weather. I guess the biggest disappointment was not being able to run. And I think Darren Andrews did a really, really great job of explaining it on Facebook, on the group, about the track being mole ploughed. So, I'm not any clerk of the court, I am absolutely zero ground knowledge. But all the senior jockeys did go out and walk the track and have a look at what was happening to the ground, having ridden on it. They had walked it, it had walked okay. And after riding on it, that just wasn't the case. And unfortunately, where it had been mole ploughed all the way across, there was no way of moving the markers or getting around it. And the ground had just become very false and very deep in the gaps. So it just wasn't safe to ride on. And it doesn't matter whether they were able to reschedule to next weekend or not. They would never have been able to fix the ground. It is broken. So like I said, I'm no ground expert. I don't know how long it will take to fix. And I don't think, what we don't want to do in these scenarios is go off ranting, complaining about, the brilliant volunteer teams that actually put these point-to-points together. Like it is.
Yeah, agreed.
It's really, really unfortunate. And everyone was very, very disappointed. But at the end of the day, safety came first. They made the right call and they called it off. But we do need to learn a lesson about how to prepare and maintain the ground, and hope that going forward that it is put right and that the right machinery is used on the course in advance and that the ground is prepared in the correct way. And I would really, really hope that the PPA can work with the BHA to find some way of making sure that there is better education and better help for our volunteers preparing the courses correctly. Whether that is, there are obviously a lot of clerk of the courses around the country, qualified ones. And is there a way that they can work more closely with our point-to-point tracks to support the clerks? And is there a way that, any trainee clerk of the courses that are happening at the moment, can some of those trainee clerks be actually partnered up with point-to-points to get the practice in looking at the tracks? I think that could be of huge value on both sides of the fence. So, yeah, I think there's quite a lot to learn from the mistakes made, but
yeah. And that's the positive that we have to take out of it, which is slim pickings, I realise. But yeah, we need to learn from it. And much has been said online. There's plenty of banter on the forum, Sam, which I know you'll have enjoyed. And to your point, Steph, I know Paul Miller's doing a lot to try and bring pointing closer to the other bodies in racing and BHA, etc. Apparently, a BHA course inspector only has to look at a point-to-point course every 3 years, I heard recently. And if that's true, that to me sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah, which again means it must be so important, but they're passing on all the knowledge and experience and sort of checklist or requirements for people to be able to stick to in between that time. There must be some guidance on what maintenance tools are used on tracks. There must be some guidance on when you can and can't mole plow a field. Now, we don't know why that field was done. You know, it might have been the farmer's requirements, like they may have needed to do that from a farming perspective, in which case, you know, we are running on farmers' ground. We are running on, you know, kind people lending us, you know, their facilities. So it's not as straightforward as everyone getting up in arms saying, oh, they haven't done a good enough fucking job. It's just not fair.
No.
This podcast, please.
I was going to say that for the first week, we're going to have to tick the expletives tick box from Potty Mouth Jones.
Oh, I'll just donate £1 to charity.
Yeah, fine.
What was everyone's opinion after they walked it?
After they walked it, it was noticed that there were some, don't know how to describe them really, like slightly up. No, they're not. They're like waves going across the track. Like, but it walked fine. And walking with a stick on, you know, with a human weight, it didn't feel like it was just going to give way. But when you saw the video, and you know, I'm sure people have seen the videos that have circulated, that when a horse put his foot in the, you know, groove, as it were, it was it just was very false, just disappeared.
Yeah, that's what intrigued me, because you're looking at race 2 and race 3, how many have actually been declared before it actually got called off. So I can't imagine many people who got there thought, oh well, I'm not going to run my horse on this ground.
No, there were a lot, you know, ourselves included, and you know, there was a picture on social media. Josh was already, you know, raring to go.
John Terry full kit.
Yeah, he was very, you know, he was all full bore for a minute. But Darren Andrews, who rides for us, rode in the first, and he came straight in. The first thing he said is, take that horse out. We are not running. And obviously they all came in and said, we're not riding. We're going to go and have a look. So it rode very different to how it walked.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I've done the same thing hunting, where basically you're going across the stubble, and when it's mole plowed, they basically put slits in it to aerate it. And it just looks like a very innocuous kind of like, you know, let's say 5 mil gap in the ground, and said you don't mind, and you're just cantering away, and then suddenly the horse puts its foot on said place and it opens up like a rabbit hole. Yeah. So you'd walk it with a stick even and go, oh, this looks all right, and then gallop on it and think, oh dear. So
yeah, you know, in terms of the discussion of whether it was good ground, soft ground, whatever, you know, in fairness to them, it certainly wasn't bottomless ground. Like it was the water and the rain and the wind was not a problem. They had, and that's, you know, the very sad thing for them is actually they had survived a lot of what other courses, including Exeter, you know, hadn't been able to. So it's just a shame that it went the way it did.
Again, course inspections every 3 years. I think that's probably something I thought it was every year, to be honest. So that's probably something that needs to be looked at, really.
And what about course inspections after 3 inches of rain, Sam? Larkhill is giving good, having had quite a lot of rain. What do you make of it?
It is a remarkable, well-draining course, I know, but to be good on Friday and then have the rain all weekend and still be good, either Friday it wasn't good or now it's not good. So I think there needs to be a bit more transparency and a bit of maybe consistency between the tracks to make sure we have got the right ground descriptions or going descriptions.
I think we might have mentioned this before, Sam, sort of like, you know, twice every season for the last 5.
Frustrating for everyone involved, really.
Well, and I think it would be really nice to have different representatives be walking these courses, because everyone has their trusted sources. And yes, there is, you know, the clerk, but you know, if it's been walked by a local jockey or a local trainer and they have also backed up what the clerk has said, there has to be some more faith in what people are saying. But if, so, you know, a lot of people...
Right. Why don't we find someone who's retired? There must be loads of them around. Some of them probably listen to this. That we don't have to pay because they've made their money and they just want to travel about for the crack. And everyone can chip in for some diesel money, and we'll send them to every point-to-point course in the country, like just on a
do you know who I think could do it? And I think you should give him a ring. And I hope he watches this podcast. Simon Clace. He used to obviously work in point-to-pointing. He was obviously at Cheltenham. He is a very good clerk of the course. I am sure he would love to help our sport. So bring back Simon.
On a voluntary basis, Simon will cover your fuel. You get in touch. But you do need that consistent. This is the thing, there's people working on all sorts of gizmos, isn't there? But you need someone who's got the same consistent, respected approach, because what one man says is good is what someone else says is good to soft, and we, round and round and round we go.
What about each course having a going stick?
Yeah.
It's about, but then it's down to how you use it and where you put it in, and so
why is that funny then?
Because I'm immature, Steph. Because I'm immature.
I do think but that is worth pointing out, though. Again, when you are saying that one man says one thing and another, ground does walk and ride differently depending on the type of soil. And I sound like I'm a ground expert. I have absolutely no idea, but I do know that is why some people, will say something is good, and yet to other people it is good to soft, because it depends. The type of ground it is. And a going stick would help make it more consistent. At least you have a number to go off.
Yeah.
And so you can, and it's what they do under rules. When you see that Haydock is a, I don't know, 5.
36.
Yeah. You know what that means to them, because they have multiple readings. So maybe in time that is something that can be invested in point-to-point tracks.
Please, Lord. So Sam, time now for our social shout out. Over to you. Drum roll, please.
We all woke up on Monday, didn't we, to be intrigued. Was it Monday? Or was it? Yeah, it must have been. Or Sunday, did it come out? Intrigued by this new account that was set up called GB Pointers.
And the inquiry began, it's fair to say. There was a flow of messages.
Stewards were involved, and we were on a manhunt to figure out who was behind this, as it wasn't any of us three or Charlie Post, so it really can't really be anyone else, to be honest. So, yeah, but it turns out...
Did you get accused?
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, of doing it?
Of doing it, yeah.
No. People know I'm not that bothered about it. I thought it was you. I actually thought it was you.
I got accused quite a lot, which is why I went searching on who it was, because it was.
Yeah, to clear your name. But Paddy Barlow.
What a boy.
Yeah, he's set up this new group called GB Pointers, which tracks and follows and kind of posts out every day. Well, it has been every day at the minute. He's got to keep it up now. He started it about all the horses that have gone from British pointing under rules and their progress. So, really interesting. Someone take a follow. It's on Instagram, and I got in contact with him to ask why he was doing it and for his reasons behind it and what he plans to do in the future. And this is what he had to say. Paddy Barlow, the face behind the new social media page, GB Pointers, which follows our point-to-point graduates as they go on and progress under rules. Paddy, good idea, great initiative. Something I told Ben he should have done a while back now, but he said he never had time. So here we are. It took a man like yourself to do it, so well done. Tell us a bit more about yourself, Paddy. What you're up to at the minute, how you're looking forward to the season, and just a bit more about the page and why you wanted to do it and why you think it's important and what you plan to do going forward with it.
Hi, Sam. Yeah, no, cheers for that. Thanks very much. Well, the page, I kind of thought something needs to be done, because I think it was probably start of October or something, and there was a day at Utoxeter, a Sunday. I was just watching the racing as you do on a Sunday afternoon, and there were 2 maiden hurdles and a novice hurdle all on the same card, and they're all won by ex-British pointers. I think Jack Teal was one of them used to be in Jack Teal's, one of them was in Tom and Gina's, and one of them was in Chris Barber's. But there was nothing about it or anything, social media promotion or anything from the point-to-point authority or anything like that. So I kind of thought something needed to be done, really, especially after last weekend. Doyen Quest won. He was in, obviously, Tom Weston. He unseated. He's probably going to win at Maysmore. Garth, I can't remember which one it was, but and then after this weekend, Clip Such a Chance and Touch Me Not, it kind of gave me the kick up the arse to actually get it done. We basically just want to kind of promote British point-to-pointers and graduates, really, that are going onto track to showcase the actual talents that there are on offer. Mainly because I feel that they just don't get, and I know I'm not the only one. They don't get the recognition and the credit that they deserve. I mean, Clip's had a chance there. He's favoured for the champion bumper. We've had a dual champion chase winner in Energumene, and it's probably, long enough ago that, but the likes of Santini wasn't that long ago, and then moving on, you got third time Lucky, Kimberlite Candy. I mean, that's only the ones I think off the top of my head. Ahoy Senor, that they're all coming through the ranks, and there's only going to be more of them now because there's more people doing it, and I just feel like that they deserve a bit more credit, and especially the sales, where it's often quite difficult to get them into a sales slot, just because they haven't got the name behind them that they've won or been placed in a Dromahar Maiden. It might have been at a Corbridge or a Stafford Cross or somewhere, and it's just not quite as fashionable. So I just want to really promote that. Myself personally, I'm kind of based up north really at the minute, so kind of be tipping away up there. Hopefully Rory's got a few, I think, to hopefully go on, and got a nice couple of ones there, and so's Will Milburn. I ride for them a good bit, and hopefully we'll give it a good crack this season.
Steph, what do you make of that?
Well, I think it is overdue, very much needed. And it's something that we obviously have all been very passionate about, particularly seeing, more trainers being able to sell their young pointers. And, they deserve all the support they can get. And if you look at the Instagram this morning, I was very surprised at how many pointers there were in each race, across the card. Like, I was actually quite shocked, and I feel a bit sorry for Paddy for the amount of work.
Do you think he realises what he's got himself in for?
What's disappointing is that someone's had to go and volunteer to do this.
Yeah.
And not someone within our sport already who.
Well, maybe he can get it up and running and then pay it off to the new marketing lead within the PPA.
Yeah, I think that's what should be done.
Because before long, 6 months later, we're going to have an article in the Racing Post. Paddy Barlow has to quit saddle as Instagram account takes over his life. And the poor lad, the picture of him in the jockeys in the weighing room with a laptop, looking at tomorrow's runners.
Paddy Barlow and his blue tick. Yeah.
There are a lot of them, and they all deserve celebrating. And that's the one thing that obviously we spoke about, is that now it's started and it's going. You have to keep going. You don't want to miss anyone, and you don't want anyone to be left off. And
which is Steph, you just led me into something which I needed to say, and I'm so glad that you brought us around to it, because there's one person in our sport who hasn't got enough credit on this podcast.
Thanks.
We barely mention his name. He's had no attention, does so much for anyone, and we've barely even kind of ever touched upon him. It's a man called Charlie Post, who for a long time has been posting about winning pointers on Twitter. And when I say posting about it, basically anyone wins, and he copies in, he ats pointing pointers and ats go pointing, and he's been at it for years. Most of the time we completely miss the tweet and forget to retweet it, and he's been on the job for ages. So I think he'll be glad that Paddy stepped up to the mark, and good on him.
And you know what? He's even going to give him a ride at Hexham this weekend to say thank you.
Good stuff. So speaking of jockeys, we have got a special guest. We have mentioned recently the rise and rise of Callum Pritchard, who was, of course, the winning novice rider in 2023, and actually steered one home for Tom Ellis this afternoon at Southall in good fashion.
Quite fitting, really, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it was. It was good. It was nice to see, ex-pointing jockey and ex-pointing trainer. Things have started to click really well for both of them. And I caught up with Callum about his journey to where he is now. So, Callum Pritchard, thanks so much for joining us here on Pointing Pointers. How are you getting on?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Brilliant. Well, look, I just thought it'd be good to start from the beginning. Obviously, you were the novice champion in the 23 season. But there's a little bit of a backstory to that, and I thought it'd be really good for anyone who's been living under a rock for a couple of years to kind of start from the beginning. So, patronise us if you would. How old are you?
23.
You're 23 now, and where did you grow up?
I'm originally from Porth, which is about half an hour from Bridgend.
Okay.
Not too many people would know where it is, but Sounds a bit easier when you say it's half hour from Bridgend.
Yeah. At least it's got a slightly less obscure Welsh-sounding name than a lot of places there. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So you went into hunt service for a start, which is quite interesting because we talked before about the podcast, and I know Will Biddick is a big advocate of people going hunting for a good bit before having a go in a point to point. And I'd wondered how that might have helped you really. So would you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was 14 before I ever even touched a horse, really.
Wow.
So I started just by going hunting a little bit on a Saturday and whatnot, and riding on an evening if I could, just for a bit of fun, really. And then I got more involved in the hunting and left school and decided to go into hunt service. So I've done 5 seasons in hunt service, and like that's where I learned all the basics because I had to, basically.
Yeah.
Like hunting 2 or 3 days a week on all different sorts of country, you soon have to cop on how to ride because you'd be in a bit of trouble if you couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are you hunting with, Callum?
So I started off with the Carmarthenshire, and then I done 2 years at the North Cotswolds, and then 2 years at the Percy up north.
I see.
So all different types of country, really.
Yeah. So, and yeah, like you say, that no doubt gave you a really good grounding. They're all quite different countries, aren't they? And so you've learned to ride all sorts of horses in all sorts of different terrains. So that's really interesting. And then, you basically decided that you were going to have a crack on a horse owned by your girlfriend in a point to point, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like, I always wanted to have a go pointing just for a bit of fun, really. And then obviously when Hannah got a pointer, I wanted to ride it, and I think I rode him 3 or 4 times at the end of that season, and then from that point it was no looking back then.
Yeah, and you were placed in those first efforts, weren't you? If I seem to remember, and so that must have just given you, the motivation to carry on. Just be close but no cigar, and then having a crack next season.
Yeah, exactly that. Like I just loved it. I loved everything about it, and I'd done my time in hunt service, and I was probably looking on to do something else. So that's when I went down there to Philip Hobbs for a season just to see, because I didn't know it was going to work out like it did at all. So it was just to see sort of what was gonna come of it, and luckily it took off from there. So
we won't get into to full bore flattery because I've already bigged you up enough recently, but you're a very tidy rider. And Steph off the podcast, our producer, was wondering, where did you learn to be so tidy? Is that an innate thing, or was there a trainer that you worked for that really got you squared up in that department?
I don't think it's necessarily down to anything in particular. It's just a combination of riding for the good trainers and them watching you and helping you out. And like I found when I was point to pointing, there's always good lads in the waiting room that you could go to for help and advice. And I'd be very self-critical. Like I'd watch a replay back 10 times and pick out every bad thing in it and try and straighten it out the next day. So I think it's a combination of all them things. It's just one of those.
Well, fair enough. You are allowed to just say, "I'm just good. It's natural ability. We won't hold it against you." But
No, absolutely not.
That's a very diplomatic answer. But yeah, good on you. So yeah, we've heard a little bit there about your route into racing, and it's fair to say that things have taken off for you really well this year. First of all, talk us through the feeling of crossing the line a few weekends ago down in Wincanton.
Wincanton was mad. I was on cloud 9 for 2-3 weeks afterwards. It was unreal.
It was only 2 weeks ago, so you must have another week on cloud 9 in that case.
Oh, honestly, it feels like a month ago.
I know, and
I've been up and down the country a million times.
Well, you've ridden winners for JP since then, and podcast favourite Tom Ellis as well, including one yesterday. That was it's going really well for you. And where do you see it heading this season? Have you already achieved what you set out to this season, or have you still got some goals in mind?
I definitely overachieved for the start of the season. Because when we first turned conditional and back end of the summer, I broke my collarbone, and that sort of puts on the back foot. So I just look forward to getting going and getting my name there a little bit. So to do it as fast as I have is unbelievable. And to get the ride and get in on on the right horses for the right trainers, and it's all come together very quickly. It's just trying to maintain that for me now. I just want to keep going strongly with the right trainers backing me, if you know what I mean. Without overcomplicating it and trying to do too much in your first year. I'd rather just focus on getting it straight and get the goals we set out to get first.
Yeah, that seems really sensible. So, for anyone listening who is an aspiring jockey just starting up, you're a young man, you started late, you came to riding in later life at 14. What advice would you give them?
Keep your head down, work hard, and make sure you have the right people and the right trainers around you.
That's fairly solid stuff. So I'm intrigued to know, what do you think has shaped your riding the most?
I'd say moving to Philip Hobbs when I did, because I could ride out hunting, but moving to Philip Hobbs was a game changer. Riding up the gallops every single day, and obviously having the stable jockeys in there most days helping you out. That's what really cut it for me. And then obviously point of pointing was a massive key in that as well. Just because you learn your trade out there, and you've not got so many eyes watching you when you make a mistake earlier on, as you have in rules. But like, if you can get all that out of the way, then going forward, it's a lot easier. Absolutely.
Well, listen, well done. Huge congratulations. And look, we all are right behind you, willing you on to keep doing great things under rules. So it's great to catch up with you, Callum.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
So, Sam, Toby McKay-Mitchell, another podcast favourite, won on Beauport, Surrey National at Ascot. Did you manage to watch the race?
The Berkshire National, mate, yeah.
The Berkshire, so yeah. The Aintree Grand National at Ascot on Saturday was won by Beauport. Did you manage to clock it?
I did, yeah. Very impressive, to be honest. Yeah, he's making great strides still, isn't he? Obviously, I think he's probably always going to stay amateur, I would guess, because of his weight. Not saying that he looks large, but he looks
tall,
well built. So I'd imagine he will stay amateur, but he's got a great job with Nigel. He'll get loads of opportunities. He's a lad we've followed for a while, and someone we've always said is going to go on to bigger and better things, and he seems to be doing that, and that's probably one of his biggest wins to date. So great.
Not an easy horse to ride by all accounts.
Not an easy horse. No, have you ridden him?
Yeah, a couple of times. We just did a couple of schooling sessions at Nigel's for him in the week.
It is worth noting, though, whilst we've obviously congratulated Paddy on setting up the account to celebrate our graduate horses.
Oh, here we go. You want another account set up for jockeys? Oh,
God. No. Relax there, Sam. Okay. One thing I was going to say is that we should be celebrating our graduate jockeys and trainers, Tom Ellis and Callum Pritchard, etc., because without us producing the next generation of National Hunt participants, our purpose becomes a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I totally agree.
I think it is
why can't that be done on the Instagram account that Paddy set up?
Well, when it gets handed over...
Get him on the blower, Sam. Get him rung up. Come on.
Interestingly enough, I'm just looking at Beauport's race because I've really done my homework this week, right? First 5 home in that: Toby McKay-Mitchell, Sean Bowen, Adam Wedge, Hugh Nugent, Ben Jones.
Yeah.
All come through point to pointing.
Exactly. And without us celebrating that and promoting that and putting that out there, it is just, it's not enough. And I think more should be done.
Dan, get that Paddy on the phone and say, good effort, Paddy, but it's not enough. Still downstairs, it's not enough.
You lot are shit. You're so mean. That's not what I meant.
Want that woman. Jeez.
No, I totally agree. So it seems as this is just being one big loving of a podcast where we're just telling everyone they're great. Shirley off of Tats, another big friend of pointing today, has been the first ever female auctioneer. Which is huge, really. And I told my wife this morning, who doesn't get enough mentions on this podcast. Shout out Mrs. Atkins. I said, Shirley that came around a few months ago? She said, yeah. I said, she's the first female ever auctioneer. And she was like, what?
Ever? Like, is that actually true?
Yeah. So, and her reaction was really based on like disbelief that we've got to 2024. And that is actually a thing, which was something like we're kind of used to it, how kind of slightly behind the curve rate, so I say slightly behind the curve racing is. And she was like, thought it was absolutely exceptional that we got to 2024, which is pretty crazy in its own right. But nonetheless, good on Shirley.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, I didn't realise that. That's very good.
Oh, I think it's amazing. And I think we should have her on the podcast to celebrate in future.
Good idea.
I did watch her interview after. She got doorstopped straight after and she was very emotional. So hopefully she will.
No, that was so unfair, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awful. The poor girl. I'm hoping by next week she'll be prepared to tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any other business? I suppose we ought to talk about this this coming weekend's racing.
We should indeed. 80 entries at Hexham and 78 at Larkhill. Anything of interest, Sam?
Quick look, Hannah Roach, hopefully she's back ready to go. She might not be obviously back at the races, but her horse has been ticking along, I'm sure. She's got plenty of help at home, I can imagine. But yeah, she's got a few coming out again. Rewrite the rules. Paul Marvel, time leader, might make an appearance. There was a horse in the conditions race that I quite liked called Chinning Like a Villain. Mikey Bones got it now. This horse loves soft ground. I think I've probably mentioned him before. But if he goes in anywhere, he will be, if it's soft up at Hexham like they say it is at the minute, because they've had the rain there and they've changed the going description to soft, then yeah, that horse loves soft ground. So yeah, Hexham, good track. Takes a bit of good track for pointed. I went up there once, had 2 rides up there, 2 winners, by the way, just saying.
Very good.
Larkhill, who's going to Larkhill? Anyone? I might go.
Yeah. What, pardon?
Might make an appearance.
Jesus. Are you okay? Yes, I will be going. I would have thought if we run Bruce Gobbler, who is, desperate to get started, really. He was entered at Badbury. It was too firm. He was entered at Great Stew. It didn't happen. So hopefully he will get to go around Larkhill in the restricted. However, Ben, I see that your favourite, Killer from Woods, is entered. Is it going? Do you know?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I will, as I said before, I'm excited to see him wherever he goes, to be honest. I mean, it could just be one of those, it could have just been a good first time out performance and he might just not to show it again, but I've just got a feeling he'll be progressive. And I just like, a bit like that Undersow. And I loved Undersow. I just love things that just go with a bit of enthusiasm, but aren't complete tearaways. Just like put it in, just.
Like you, really. Yeah. You've got a lot of enthusiasm, but
just like headbangers that wake up and just go at it and then stop and then wake up.
I think people would be pleased if Killer from Woods ends up like Undersow, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they'll be delighted.
Yeah. So the Nick Look Daily horse, as we now know it, that Molly Armitage has got we had her on earlier in the season. Bournemore Jet is entered, I noticed.
In the restricted to take you on, Steph.
I know, yeah. Also in the restricted. Yeah. Be great to see them have their first runner. She's obviously started this new syndicate. Last time we spoke to her, she was still looking for 15 members. So I don't know if she's still got some more room, but it'll be great to see them having their first day out, all being well, on the weekend.
Hey, why don't we set up a pointers syndicate?
I think we're doing quite enough right now, Sam. We've got the forum. So we've got the podcast, we've got the forum, and as I slipped into the podcast last week, we're sponsoring the Hunter Chase series, which I've got some news on. Are you ready for said news?
Yeah.
So, Gordon off of the forum. So we've got Shirley off of Tats and Gordon off of the forum. We need a few more. Gordon off of the forum has been busy working hard. He's a legend. And we have got penciled in the Dick Saunders at Leicester on 15th February. Hexham, Stratford, the restricted final, and also Taunton. They are getting penned in as we record, and it's very exciting. I am going to try and get to as many of them as possible. And what a fantastic thing to be involved in. It's really important that I think we keep these Hunter Chases going. They're really well supported last year, and it's a pleasure to be involved. And thank you so much to everyone on the forum who's already put their hand in their pocket and donated. I've told them, Sam, that your large donation is to be expected anytime soon.
You obviously haven't looked on the page, have you? Back in your box.
No, I haven't.
Already done it, thank you.
Have you?
Yes, you wouldn't believe it, would you?
Oh my God.
Good write it. All £5.
Sam. I haven't even done it yet.
Yeah, well, come on.
Yeah.
Also, I think Sam's got a new sponsorship announcement, seeing as he's in his very nice branded work gear. Are they going to be supporting us sometime soon?
Maybe in the future.
Go on, Morris. We'll love
Yeah.
to see it.
To be fair, I got on this call at 4:45, so I think that's 15 minutes of sponsorship. So, but yeah, my Drogo is in again.
Yeah.
Keep going on about him, don't we?
Playing with our emotions.
Surely.
Good.
Anything else? Any actual tips for this weekend? Because I feel like that was a weak effort.
Well, my Drogo. Right, a win.
Oh, is that your tip? That's what you've decided?
No, I will go with, where is it? I tell you what horse I like in the Open. My Drogo will probably win if it wins in the Open. There's in the conditions race a horse called Paper Mill, Mick Keogh's. If he goes to Larkhill, he was a progressive horse last year, and his horses ran well already. Mick Keogh's, and he's a guy who can train. So yeah, Paper Mill.
Okay,
We'll win.
Go on then, Ben.
I do not have a tip for this weekend.
Oh, no tip for this weekend.
No. My advice would be to go to Larkhill, wear a disguise, stand as close as you can to Sam, wait till he goes to the bookies, and don't back what he backs, and you'll probably leave with a profit.
Okay. I think that's
The 4 and 5 year old race down at Larkhill as well always produces some nice horses this time of year. There's a few in there. So I think there's 17 or 18 inches in that. So there's some from good yards. So that'll be quite nice to go and watch. I'm going to go. You should come down, Ben.
Yeah, I might well do. We'll see how the week pans out. So I need to bring this to a close. I have to take a son of mine swimming. Is there any other business?
no. Thank you very much.
No. Next week we will. I've got our social media plug for next week as well, just to keep everyone going. But everyone should have a look at Jockey Start. We mentioned it last year, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We'll
Jockey
go
Start.
more depth. Maybe get Will on here to talk about it next week.
Great stuff. Thanks for your time, guys, and thanks for listening. We will see you again soon. You're listening to Pointing Pointers, the Point to Point podcast.